We're going to be addressing the question of whether the leadership of a strong state such as the US is crucial to addressing threats to global security. My name is Daniel Foster, I'm going to be speaking first, and then we'll have Maer, Holly Street and Kirby Druce. Global security can be defined as the state of internationally mutual survival and safety, and encompasses relationships between states and those with international bodies and private enterprises. Powerful nations have the ability to ensure or threaten the survival and safety of other states, and as such can alter the equilibrium of global security. Global security is influenced by many factors, including political ideology, economic interests and resources, and is in a constant state of fluctuation. War and terrorism have always been threats to the security of states and the world as a whole, and as such, how states respond to or instigate military action is a pivotal issue in international relations. Given its position as a global superpower in an economic, political and military sense, the United States has a strong influence over the nature of international affairs. This is evident in recent tensions between the United States and other international powers, such as North Korea, and in the rise of terrorism. The United States represents the westernized world through its military alliances and economic interests, and as such has the ability to greatly alter the global political landscape almost instantly. Currently, due to tensions in the world, there is a notable focus on national security and the security of alliances as opposed to a sense of global security. Ongoing unrest in the Middle East, as well as the rogue nature of North Korea and the ever unstable relationship between Russia and the West, keeps the world in a neo-realist style system of alliances and self-interest. The leadership of strong states can foster cooperation or heighten the necessity of self-interest. Currently, especially post 9/11, strong states such as the US would appear to be addressing threats to national security and to international security within allied states.
Hi, I'm Maer, and I'm the second speaker for our group. The United States has established itself as a powerful state with the ability to combat global security threats. Through growing power characterized by interventionism, the use of military and global diplomacy, the United States is crucial in addressing global security. The issues of social peace versus security peace are at the paramount of issues with increasing threats to global security. A healthy skepticism has pressured governments to legislate procedures as well as implementation of peace provisions has turned into individual rights being removed with the fear in mind that all citizens are a potential terror suspect. The role of the United States in global security is one of leadership through hierarchy that is self-enforcing. Robust governments have a responsibility to mitigate the threat of terrorism through navigating with states suffering under the erosion of governments in the 21st century. John Locke refers to the state as a necessary evil, in recognition of its inevitable limitation of civil liberties in maintaining the domestic stability necessary in protecting society against external attack. Relevant to the evaluation of whether a steadfast state like the US is intrinsic in addressing the threat of global security is a comparison between counter-terrorism threats motives in the early 21st century and today. The collapse of the Soviet Union influenced a shifted world order, leaving the United States as the single remaining superpower. In this post-Cold War era, the Clinton administration aimed to work with a multilateral structure of the United States and the Northern Atlantic Treaty Organization. This multilateral direction was a catalyst for change in the way Western liberal democracies would manage transnational terrorism in international and domestic spheres, as developments in technology and digital communication advanced repercussions of state-supported terrorism. The Security Council's new and reinforced focus on global terrorism during the 1990s was influenced by the changing nature of the enactment of international terrorism. Increasingly, terrorist attacks were aimed at the US facilities and citizens. with correspondent increase in casualties. A pivotal moment in the way that the US addressed global security, influencing a recurrent fear amongst states, occurred in the aftermath of September 11 attacks. The Bush administration's war on terror determined the ways in which Western liberal democracies approached the threat of global security. Preceding the September 11 attacks, Western liberal democracies were guided in their international behaviour by the imperative of the United Nations Security Council to global peace and security by responding to crises around the world on a case-by-case basis. In the post-9/11 era, the substantial changes between the policies of the Clinton and Bush administration are evident in the Bush administration's move from a focus on international relations with great powers such as China and Russia to an emphasis on preemptive disruption of the interconnection of non-state terrorist groups such as Al-Qaeda and rogue states. Thank you.
My name's Holly Street and I'm the third presenter for our group. Global security can be understood as the amalgamation of processes engaged in by states and international relations to maintain mutual survival and safety. These processes include both diplomatic agreements and military action. The United States have utilised both of these processes over time in response to global security threats, as well as preemptive action to neutralise threats before they occur. Threats to global security shift contextually and often reflect societal values, attitudes, and fears of the current population. At the forefront of global security threats in today's society is the threat of terrorism. The use of violence to affect politics dates from the early human societies. However, the origins of modern violence and terrorism can be found in the French Revolution, wherein new heads of state had their enemies executed to stabilise the country and justify their methods as necessary for the transition from a monarchy to a liberal democracy. This concept formed the foundations of modern terrorism. International terrorism became a more prominent issue for global security in the 1960s, alongside religiously motivated terrorism that rose to prominence in the 1990s. The terrorist attacks of September 11 on the US World Trade Center was an act of both international and religious terrorism, giving rise to an epidemic of fear throughout the Western world and bringing about the War on Terror. America's involvement in the War on Terror resulted in dramatic changes in national attitudes and concerns regarding global security, giving rise to the emergence of new policies such as the USA Patriot Act and the prioritization of security and defense. These policies have continued to have ripple effects around the world, particularly in the Middle East, where US-led military operations have stimulated ongoing warfare and civil unrest. The US responded rapidly to the September 11 attacks, launching a military invasion in Afghanistan within 6 months under the administration of President Bush. The aggression with which the US responded resulted in a wave of anti-Americanism and a rush of support for extremist Islamism across the Muslim world. The invasion cost tens of thousands of lives and caused mass destruction. The billions of dollars expended were financed mainly from borrowing, which in turn has destabilized the world economy. The substantial escalation of US military campaigns in the Middle East has continued into the 21st century, currently focusing on the civil unrest in Syria. The US has been very engaged in military action in Syria since early 2017 by launching missiles at a Syrian airbase in response to a massive civilian chemical poisoning believed by the US to be executed by the Syrian government. The Syrian government
As global security refers to the collaboration of processes involving all states and international organizations to ensure existence and mutual safety, it is essential for strong states, such as the United States, to lead the world in combating any threats posed to the cohesive international community. Over time, due to shifts in power among the strong states, the world has transitioned to a multilateral structure with influences from the United Nations in aiding the cooperation of states. The United States has steadfastly held their position as the world superpower, and therefore is a crucial component in addressing threats to global security. As a result of the September 11 terrorist attack on the United States soil, the US has addressed these threats domestically and internationally, through prompting stricter action in regards to civil liberties to increase security within the nation and through the implementation of the Bush administration's war on terror as a drastic response to the population's attitude of fear. This set a precedent for Western states and allies to follow the lead of the United States in international law through treaties and in the area of preemptive action the US takes in their efforts to neutralize threats. Western allies, such as Australia, have entered into the Middle East in response to these terror attacks and in the shared pursuit of using military action to shut down terrorist organizations. This is the case today, where the United States are currently focusing on the civil conflict in Syria, but allies still remain in Afghanistan with the US support in first-hand military campaigns to neutralize these threats. Due to the United States' firm position in regards to global threats, they have been the target of terrorist attacks due to an anti-American movement through many Middle Eastern cultures. While global threats reflect changing social attitudes of society, whether it be on a religious or political stance, the leadership of a strong state, predominantly the US, remains crucial not only in previous years but particularly in the 21st century, as technology and terrorist advances seem only to be evolving.